upon the recommendation of the faculty and by the power vested in me by the Board of Managers of Swarthmore College and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, I have the honor to bestow upon you the degree of Doctor of Laws. Congratulations, Jim.
President Bloom, members of the board, faculty, staff, graduating seniors, families, and friends. It is humbling, to say the least, to receive this great honor in the company of Mary Schmidt Campbell and Al Bloom, two such extraordinary leaders and visionaries, both of whom I know well and hold in the highest regard and affection, who are universally recognized for their scholarship and administrative leadership, and who have given so much to Swarthmore. It's comforting, if not reassuring, to think that part of the reason I'm standing here today is that the registrar's office probably lost my transcripts. I wish to speak particularly to the class of '09. But I hope you all will listen in. The class realizes, of course, that I'm the last person to stand between them and their diplomas. While the economy is currently facing one of the greatest downturns in history, I encourage you to always remember that nothing in life appreciates in value quite like your Swarthmore education, symbolized by the diploma that you're about to receive. And even though you are technically still enrolled for a few more minutes, you have been accruing intellectual dividends and interest ever since you first arrived here, and the returns to come are many. I don't necessarily mean monetary returns, although whatever you earn, the greatest reward comes from giving back to Swarthmore and to other people and causes, not other alma maters. Please note carefully, Swarthmore is a huge, bottomless pool of fortune. The knowledge you have collected and created here, the beautiful bonds that you formed and deepened, the nourishment provided at Sharpless, and by the way, the family does pronounce it Sharpless, the many concerts you've enjoyed at LPAC, the revelatory philosophies you engaged in late at night in your cozy and furnished residences, all that is fortune which Swarthmore has bestowed upon you. Take stock of your blessings, share them, and you will create blessings for others. My grandfather, George Hormel, left school at the age of 13 to help support his immigrant parents and his 9 brothers and sisters. When he was about 30, he had saved enough to become a partner in a meat market in the farming center of Austin, Minnesota, which then had about 6,000 residents. Soon thereafter, the market burned to the ground, and as I was told, the partner and the cash box both disappeared. George borrowed $500 on his good word, rented a little shack that had been a creamery, and began making sausage. His enterprise got me here, and I wear this hood in his honor. I've always tried to keep myself reminded about how fortunate I was to go to school here. Needless to say, It's unforgettable after an occasion such as this. I arrived as a transfer student in the fall of 1952, having taken a pretty circuitous path to get here. I marveled at the fervency of my peers and the scholars and educators who so believed in all of us. The first Saturday of my career here, the sun glowing as today, this glorious campus, vibrant in all of its colors, a group gathered on the parish porch to engage in the ethically intelligent manner so characteristic of conversations around here. And clothier bells chimed 1:15. It occurred to me that there was a football game that afternoon. Not yet informed on how to get to the athletic field, I decided to follow a group that had just risen en masse to go down the parish walk. We ended up at the library. And I suddenly grasped what was in store for me. The character of this peerless educational haven hasn't changed much since I graduated. Neither has the Quaker Matchbox, for that matter, which is how Michael, my personal wah for life, and I met in the spring of 2006. Although the boundless energy and spirit of Swarthmore are remarkably constant, the curriculum, the buildings and grounds, the methodology, the technology, the campus community, and indeed the world in which we exist has evolved and become more complex. This institution in many ways bears little resemblance to the place that was my undergraduate home. You have had course offerings and methods that didn't exist back then. You have benefited from facilities and working tools which we didn't even dream of. The college no longer acts in loco parentis, the double standard that required women to sign into their separate dorms by 10:15 p.m. while men were free to roam at all hours. It's true. And you are now being launched into a post-colonial, post-Cold War, high-tech world that fellow inhabitants have globally warmed and trashed for their aggrandizement and for you to clean up if you can. One of the most dramatic and far-reaching acts of my life has been coming out as a gay man. It was an act that called for a degree of courage I didn't know I had. When I finally opened that closet door, I felt an indescribable relief together with a new freedom from deception and fear, and freedom to be. At last, I was able to engage honestly with the rest of the world. Of course, the time I had spent hiding taught me many lessons, blessed me with children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, and contributed to shaping me into who I am today. Nonetheless, the strongest advice I can offer anyone is to come out. And I don't mean from the closet, although for some of you perhaps that is what I mean. More broadly, I urge you to follow your dreams and desires instead of following the crowd. I spent too many of my days under the spell of conformity, in the closet of all places. The process of coming out is like learning to walk. The first step may be tentative, but the next is inevitable. And soon one discovers the exhilaration of freedom. The next stage is learning what one can do with that freedom. In my case, it became the quest for equality. I began that journey by joining in the successful effort to defeat a ballot initiative intending to prevent lesbians and gay men from teaching in California's public schools. The trip took me through many adventures up till 1992, when a member of the Clinton team suggested that I seek an appointment in the new administration. The rest truly is history. The modest and conventional boy from Minnesota became the first openly gay U.S. ambassador. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Heraclitus is quoted as saying, "Change alone is unchanging." Close quote. Change is inevitable. How one responds to the forces of change is like a personal recipe for one's life. All of you who graduate today have thoughts, plans, desires, and dreams. It is very possible, even likely, however, that destiny, or whatever you wish to call it, will point you in a different direction. It will be a time for you to evaluate and choose. The most important guidance will come from within you. The challenge is to be attuned to who you really are, and then to honestly be that person. In such instances, dreams and desires may be more useful than thoughts and plans. It is not a matter of daring to be different, but rather of daring to be you. Congratulations to all of you.